Look at you all over. You tired? You're not tired from all that walk? We're 10 minutes late because you had to go for a little walk. Come here. Damn, I gotta give you a shower, dude. You got dirty. Yo, what's up, guys? Yo, oh, dude, she's doing amazing, man. Honey, yeah, you're doing amazing. She's just a little dirty. I have to give her a bath. Hey, that's so gross, dude. Here, give me a sec. Let me set this up super quickly. Hey, let me hug you for a bit. Let me hug you while I set up, Billy. All right. Oh, sit. Man, I'm sorry. I went incog. Oh shit, my music's still playing. One sec. I was listening to Double Trigger. I love it. Yeah, I'm having fun, man. Wait, I don't even have any music. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I went incognito for 2 days because I got hooked on Arc Raiders, man. I bought it out of a whim, and oh man, that shit is fun. Never been this early? Oh, it's a little early, huh? It's always room for a first. All right, let me put this up here. Just give me 2 seconds to set up. I should have been live earlier, and I should have set up earlier, but we went for a little walk. I don't want to go live literally right after coming back and then just leave Ellie. So we went out for like a good 20-30 minute walk. But let me just put chat up here. Oh, and Lost Ark Raid? Oh, you guys are playing together on them? Oh, sorry. Oh, wait, my monitor. I have to tilt my monitor just a little bit so you guys don't get it in frame. And then this damn light keeps falling. So I kind of have to, like, adjust it. Hi, Ellie. Can I help you? Do you want attention? Is that what you want? You want attention or you want to go out? You want to go back out? Really? Why do you want to go back out? Here, I'm going to read for like an hour or an hour and a half, okay? Give me a minute. Okay? Are you being moody? Really? You being moody with me? Give me a kiss. What? Why do you look away, dude? Let me let her out. He crushes out. I can see that. At least when I played Lost Ark, I put like 100 hours into Lost Ark when it came out. And then I remember, man, there's a pretty big difficulty spike. Like after like the 100-hour mark, some of the raids just went from like easy or like a moderate, and it just went straight to like really, really hard. Like there's a pretty big learning curve, you know? If you could give Ellie a potion with pathway, pff, dude, man. Whatever makes her speak, man. I don't know. What would it be? I think it would be Reader. I think art, no. Not Reader. Wait, let me put music before I forget. Wait, wrong soundtrack. Oh, look, here's this track. I've been hearing this track. This shit, this song is a banger. Demoness Ellie, hell no. Hell no. Ellie is too sacred for that pathway. She is too sacred, damn it. Yo, what's up, dude? Don't worry, we're setting up. Let's get music right in the background. Yeah, man, I'm fucking, set this up. I am literally hooked, man, on fucking Arc Raiders. That shit hooked me. 2 straight days, man. I mean, it's not like I put 10 hours in 2 days. I don't have that much free time anymore. But like within the course of 48 hours, I was able to squeeze in 10 hours. From fucking playing on my Legion Go S to PC and streaming it from my phone. Oh man, it was good. What level are you on in Arc? I only hit level 16. Yeah, I only just hit level 16. When I started playing the first time 2 days ago, it was kind of hard to kind of get used to the whole die, you lose everything. And then yesterday I put in like another 5 hours, and I kind of started getting my bearings. And the reason I didn't go live is because I'm trying to get all this transmog cosmetics that you get right now for an event that ends in like 3 days. All right, chat is up here. Let's get Shadow Slave on screen. Let's get my notepad up, and we're good. And dude, I had this song playing in the background like all day yesterday, man. Forget about it, man. It's a good game. It's a good game. And I read a comment, or like, imagine if this is what Factions 2 would have been like, live service extraction shooter. And I'm like, oh man, I can see it. Like, there's bloaters, clickers. Oh man, it would have been fucking good. Rat King, all this crazy shit. Oh man, it would have been so good. I almost missed the stream. No, it's okay, man. I just started. And I'm over here stalling a little bit as I get stream ready. Shadow Slave. Alright, stream is up. Chapters are up. We are on chapter 60. Alright. All fucking set. Wait, no, I lied. We read 60, correct? Sorry, I had to burp. They're getting ready to go up to the castle. So they left. They started kind of like branching out into the labyrinth more. And I guess they saw the castle in distance and said, we're almost there. I believe that's what they said. Like, we are almost there. Let me just double check what chapter I read. Wait, you guys gotta help me out. Help me out, help me out. Gamers, I need help. Gamers. What was the last thing I read? 60, right? What go-to game is free? Wait! I'm trying to find the last chapter I did. Oh my god, bro, I'm fucking choking. Where the fuck is my playlist? View channel. Wait, not fucking view playlist. Review my recent. Oh, I'm on 61. Okay, we're good. 61. 60. Yeah, no. Last thing we read was 60, so we're on 61. All right. Straight into it. Let me put my music playlist up here. And then, are you guys ready for the last bit of stream setup? Somebody said like, oh man, it's bad if this is what Easy has to do. But this is what I do on stream for lighting. Are you guys ready to see what I do for lighting? White picture. My lighting is so bad, I have to Google search a picture of a white image and then just open it up. It's so bad, dude. This is how I get good lighting on my stream. I literally just have to Google search a fucking picture of lighting. Oh man, all fucking bad, right? And now my light source is ready. Beautiful. Man, all fucking bad. All bad. It's bad, man. LMAO. I know. I'm not trying to stop. Sorry, all this, I should have set all this shit up ahead of time, but I couldn't. All right, we're good. We're ready. I'm gonna have stream setting up, so whenever it lags or buffers, you guys let me know. I'm gonna lower my volume down a smidge prematurely. How's this sound for you guys? Sounds good for you guys. All right, are you guys ready for another glorious day of Eliseed? Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Force a habit. I've been reading a lot of Eliseed. Are you guys ready for another glorious day of Shadow Slave, chapter 61? Sorry, I did post my schedule and then I went incognito for 2 days. I just got Art Raiders and it literally hooked me. It's a really good game. It hooked me, so I do apologize for that, but we are here. We are back. I have Google searched my picture of a white image for some good lighting on my second monitor. Let's get to it. They are on their way, I believe, to the castle. Volume 1 ends in about 30 or so chapters, but Arc 1 ends around the Forgotten Shore arc that ends around the 350 mark. So we still got a long way to go. That being said, if you like what you see, if you like what you are going to see, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the video, like the video, comment on the video. It helps the video kind of go out through the YouTube algorithm. And that being said, let's get reading. Let's get reading. Oh man, I need to put this a little bit higher. Oh shit, oh shit. I minimized my thing a little too much. Oh, right here. 61. All right, we're good. Timestamp. Timestamp is... Timestamp is... Fuck, man. My mind is racing over here. It's fucking all over the place. Thinking of way too much shit. I gotta slow it down, man. Sea of Ash. Ooh, that sounds good. Sea of Ash. Chapter 61 is called Sea of Ash. In the morning, Sunny woke up feeling grim and uneasy. The memory of the frightening dark mirror was still fresh in his mind, making every shadow seem sinister and foreboding. He scowled suddenly. What the hell? I am the child of the shadows. Why do I have to be afraid of my own domain? But... Easy lowers the volume down just a smidge. But then again, darkness and shadow were not the same. Even if a lot of people tended to mistake one for another, shadows were born from the absence of light. In a essence, they were manifestations of emptiness. True darkness, on the other hand, true darkness was in its own entity. In a sense, shadows shared more in common with light than they did with darkness. I mean, I guess they do they? Philosophical debates with this internal monologue were not the best way to start the day. At least as far as Sunny was concerned, his already sour mood only got worse. With a short sigh, he sat up and stretched his arms, yawning. Good morning. The sound of his voice was almost drowned by the echoing noise of the rushing water. With the sun rising, the dark sea was in a hurry to retreat. Sunny was finally able to relax a little. Morning. Nephis had been guarding the camp during the latter part of the night. During the later part of the night, so she was already awake. As usual, she was meditating with her eyes closed. In the absolute darkness of the night, watching over something actually meant listening for suspicious sounds, so keeping one's eyes open was not that useful. For everyone except Sunny, that is, who had perfect night vision thanks to his attributes, hearing him stand up, changing stars slowly open her eyes. A soft afterglow left behind by the dancing white flame could still be seen in her depth, quickly disappearing as her sight adjusted to the twilight of dawn. She looked at Sunny and offered him a polite smile. In the past 2 weeks, Nephis had also been training perhaps even more diligently than him. However, she wasn't trying to improve her swordsmanship. She was actually trying to learn how to behave like a normal human. Oh, okay. Almost dropped my mic, sorry. A little bit too early for me to drop my mic. As a result, their interactions had been slightly less awkward for the most part. Senna was able to recognize Changing Star's efforts because they were very similar to a phase he himself had gone through many years ago. On several occasions, he had caught her intentionally observing how Cassie talked and behaved around them. Sometime later, Neff would randomly try to mimic small details of her friend's behavior. The results were a mixed bag, to say the least. The first time she tried to greet him with a smile in the morning, Sunny panicked and almost summoned the Azure Blade because she smiled at him. However, no, we don't need a Casey counter. Oh no. However, Nephis was very smart and persistent. Today, her polite smile looked almost natural. He had no idea why Changing Star decided to work on her social skills of all things during their perilous journey through the monster-infested hellscape that was a Forgotten Shore, but he didn't mind. Ooh, title drop. I mean, arc drop, right? Forgotten Shore. It was actually rather entertaining to watch. Watching her torture herself every day, enduring terrible pains in hopes of learning to better control her aspic ability, on the contrary, was not full at all. They never talked about it, but Sunny knew that every time Nephis pretended to meditate, she was actually subjugating herself to the excruciating agony of her flaw. When he thought about it, his heart ached. Sunny wasn't used to feeling such things, but he suspected that this was what other people called compassion. At least it was similar to how it was described in books or dramas. Now that he knew a lot about that stuff, after they had breakfast, Nephis stood up and looked at the beams of light falling through the nearest gap between giant vertebrae. Turning to Sunny, she said, "Let's study the surroundings." They needed to get the lay of the land and decide on the next step. Usually this implied looking for the nearest natural features. They were high enough to stay above the surface and see, and deciding on what the one they would try to reach next. They came a day or two of scouting and hunting, followed by moving the camp to the feature. Sunny gave her a nod. All right. He summoned the Echo to guard Cassie while they were away and left the shadows behind to keep an eye out. Just in case something happens, Then Sunny followed Nephis to the gap. Boosting her, he watched his changing star, flew through the air, and then seemingly ran up the wall, kicking herself up at the last moment and propelling her body even higher before grabbing onto a bone protrusion. Relying on only her upper body strength, she then climbed up and disappeared into the cascading light. Soon the golden rope fell down, allowing him to follow. Nephis helped him climb atop the gargantuan spine and then straightened, turning to take a look west. Sunny shook his head and did the same thing, expecting to see the usual picture, an endless expanse of the Crimson Labyrinth, dotted here and there with rare high points. However, what they saw left them both speechless. Some distance away, the labyrinth seemed to lose color. The crimson blades of coral stood gray and misshapen, as though struck by some unknown disease that drained all of them. The stone-like material looked brittle and fragile, ready to crumble to dust at any moment. The patch of dead coral spread for as far as the eye could see. Further away, the walls of the labyrinth seemed to have collapsed into a sea of ash-gray sand. This ashen wasteland... Oh, so it's a different area. Okay, good shit. So it's an ashen wasteland that looked so alien and strange. After a few weeks of seeing only the endless crimson paths, that Sunny felt a shiver run down his spine. Okay, so now we're at like a new biome. I was literally about to say that, bro. Here we go. It's a new area. The fact that they didn't notice even a single monster moving through the mud beneath him made him feel even more disturbed. There was only one visible high point to the west of them. Far away in the distance, the ground rose, forming a tall hill. The hill was probably the largest they had seen, easily capable of becoming a real island once the water rose in the night. Its shape reminded Sunny of a colossal barrel. Barrow? I think I scrolled down too much. Okay, no, we're good. Covered in the gray sand left behind by the dead coral, the hill resembled a mountain of ash. That mountain was crowded by a giant tree. The tree rose into the sky like a tower, its branches wide enough to cover the whole island in their shade. The bark of the giant tree was as black as the water of the dark sea, while its leaves were red in blood. Contrasted against the gray sky, the crimson crow of the majestic tree looked incredibly vibrant and magnificent. Sunny gulped. What the hell is that? Nephis was either thinking or had nothing to say. She just had stared into the distance, a slight frown of her face. At that moment, something glistered brightly from beneath the tree. The glimmer was clear and easily visible even from their position, like a beam of sunlight reflecting by a large mirror. A moment later, it was gone, only to appear again after a few seconds. A mirror. Sunny shivered, remembering the previous night. For some reason, what happened the previous night? With a mirror? For some reason, the bright glimmer suddenly seemed to become menacing. After some... Oh, when he looked himself in the... He was too scared to look at himself in the reflection. And he was scared to see what he would have saw, right? Or what the reflection would have shown him. After some time had passed, he addressed Neff again. What did you think? She lingered a bit before turning to him. While Changing Star was deliberating on what to say, he glanced at the ashen wasteland again. Finally, she spoke. This is the only way west. Sunny grimaced and looked away. He didn't like to turn of the events one bit. So, where are we going? Nephis turned to face the giant tree and, as though affected by the gargantua, hesitantly shrugged. Do we have a choice? Sometime later, they abandoned the remains of the giant sea monster and moved west, planning to check the situation inside of the wasteland that lay between them and the Ashen Barrow. Initially, they weren't planning to approach the strange island. However, things turned out to be rather unusual once they entered the wasteland. With gray sand under their feet and dead coral walls surrounding them, the group was fully prepared to face unknown danger. Despite the fact that they had not seen any monster moving through this area from the top of the Leviathan spine, neither Sunny nor Nephis truly believed that no one was going to attack them in this strange region of the labyrinth. There were too many ways for the nightmare creatures to hide themselves, as if there was one thing that sleepers had learned during their time of the Forgotten Shore. It was that everything here was either deadly or concealing something capable of killing them. In that regard, their first encounter was that the carnivorous worms was especially traumatic. It's straight up doing, dude. Traumatic worms. However, their common sense turned out to be wrong this time around. The wasteland was quiet and empty, completely void of any signs of life. Their absence of monsters was, in theory, supposed to make Sunny feel better, but he felt even more nervous than usual instead. This whole situation reeked of danger. It was strange and unnatural. Even the monsters were afraid to approach this place, what were they doing walking deeper and deeper into the wasteland of their own free will? Were they fools not to turn around and run away immediately? Soon they reached a point where the walls of the labyrinth had crumbled into dust. Now there was nothing but a vast expanse. Oh shit, they made it out. Sand between them and the hill, crowded by the giant tree. Nothing could hide on that ashen flat. However, they would also be unable to conceal themselves from anyone's gaze. Sunny glanced at Nephis. Are you sure you want to do this? Changing Star scrawled and lowered her chin. Then, looking forward, she scrawled and said, "Let's go." The Forgotten Shore is unforgiving. I'm excited to see what else happens, man, in this arc. Oh man, I'm fucking excited, bro. I'm ready. Let me do my timestamp. Don't worry, we're not gonna do any thoughts. We're just gonna jump straight into it. Exactly 10 minutes. Slightly longer chapter. We had a 1-minute intro. That was a 9-minute chapter. Okay. That chapter was a little bit longer. Update this. 62. Switch back over. Chapter 62 is called Hide and Seek. Doesn't sound good. As soon as they left the familiar confines of the labyrinth and stepped into the vast expanse of the ashen wastelands, Sunny felt strangely uncomfortable. It was as though he had unknowingly turned slightly agoraphobic. I'm not sure what that means. Maybe it's a phobia for change in scenery. While traveling through the complicated madness of the Crimson Maze, he had grown accustomed to being surrounded by tall walls of coral with endless tangled paths stretching in all directions for as far as he could see. Despite the fact that the labyrinth was hiding numerous dangers, it also offered a strange sort of safety, at least in the case of Sunny, who had the advantage of being able to see beyond its twists and turns thanks to his steadily shadow scout. Now with gray sand beneath and nothing to break the line of sight, he had lost that advantage. The idea of not being able to hide from the enemy made him feel naked. Keep cool, there's no one here. That thought, which was supposed to calm him down, had the opposite effect instead. Indeed, there was no nightmare creatures anywhere in the desolate wasteland, but why was that? What made them so eager to avoid this place? Nephis was walking in front of the group, with Sunny right behind her. The Echo was in rear, moving at a slow pace. He looked around and said, after a bit of hesitation, said in a low voice, I don't like this. Nephis glanced at him with her usual indifferent expression. Turning away, she simply said, stay alert. They continued forward in silence, sand squeaking under their feet. A dozen or so minutes later, Changing Star raised her hand, gesturing them to stop. Turning to Sunny, she asked, has your shadow noticed anything? He shook his head. No, there are some irregularities here and there, like small knolls or shallow pits, but nothing is moving. Mostly just seems flat and lifeless. He turned Cassie and asked hesitantly, do you hear anything? In some cases, her keen hearing was more effective than his shadow senses. When they were caught by the storm, Cassie had been able to sense that something was wrong long before her seeing companions noticed anything. However, this time it was of no use. She simply shook her head, indicating that there was no unusual sounds around them. Cassie counters that too. Nephis sighed and lowered her head, thinking. Then she cast her gaze at the distant ashen barrel. Let's continue. However, she did change the direction of the group slightly, aiming to approach one of the knolls that Sunny had noticed. By that time, they approached it. It was already noon. The sun was right above their heads, making their shadows small and shapeless. Sunny's own shadow had returned and was now hidden beneath his feet, looking like a formless blob of darkness, this time of... Oh, I'm sorry, dumb question. So is this shadow not that strong in daylight? Is that what it is? Sunny's own shadow had returned and was now hidden beneath his feet, looking like a formless blob of darkness. This time of day was its least favorite. Okay, so I guess it just doesn't like bright spaces. Okay, that makes sense for a shadow. Nephis summoned her sword and slowly approached the knoll, tried to determine its nature. There was nothing remarkable about it except for the fact that everything around it was flat, and it was not. This is where Shadow Slave hooks me. Bet. The knoll was about as tall as Sunny, somewhere along and covered in the same gray sand as the rest of the wasteland. It didn't seem dangerous, but there was no harm in checking. Well, most likely, maybe it could provide them with some useful information. I do need a Google search what is a knoll is. Knoll. I'm not sure what that is. It didn't seem so dangerous, but there was no harm in checking. Well, most likely, maybe it could provide them with some useful information. Just as Changing Star was about to stretch her hand and touch the surface of the knoll, Sunny's shadow suddenly noticed something moving in the distance. Back at the edges of the labyrinth where they had just come from, acting on instinct, Sunny jumped towards the Echo and hissed to Neff, hide. At the same time, he dismissed the hulking scavenger. Suddenly losing her mount, Cassie flung her hands up and fell. Catching her in the princess carry, Sunny caught her in the princess fashion. Sunny darted towards the knoll and lowered himself to the ground, placing the blind girl between himself and crouching Nephis. Changing Star put one hand on Cassie's shoulder and looked at him with a silent question in her eyes. Danger. Sunny raised one hand with his palm open. Did I scroll down too much? Telling her to wait. His shadow was already peeking from behind the knoll, carefully observing the source of the movement. Already some distance away, the dead walls of the labyrinth rose from the gray sand. Suddenly, one of them collapsed, knocking over by a massive figure. Surrounded by the cloud of the ashen sand, the figure moved forward, stepping onto the flat surface of the wasteland. 8 legs, 2 terrifying bone scythes. Oh shit, it's one of the Kara a knoll is just a small hill. Thank you. Why didn't you just say small hill? English, am I right? 8 legs, 2 terrifying bone scythes, black and crimson carapace that looked like an ancient armor that had been splattered with blood. Another centurion. Sunny silently cursed. They fought these monsters twice before and won both times. However, this was because each battlefield held carefully prepared to stack advantages in their favor. With plenty of planning and devious scheming on their part, he wasn't sure that he would be able to kill one in a direct confrontation, at least not without suffering serious damage. Turning to Nephis, Sunny whispered, "A carapace centurion has just walked out of the labyrinth." She scrawled. Cassie meanwhile lightly touched his hand and asked, "Where is it heading?" Sunny blinked, then concentrated on the shadows of vision. Soon he exhaled with some relief. "Looks like it's heading for the Ashen Barrow. It will stay hidden behind this knoll, and it doesn't change course. There's a high chance that it won't notice a change." He started, thought for a second, and then nodded. "Keep an eye on it and tell me as soon as something changes." Trying to become as small and silent as possible, the three of them pressed their bodies to the knoll. There wasn't a lot of space to hide, so they had to endure being cramped against each other. Well, maybe endure was not the right word. Sunny might have even enjoyed the situation in other circumstances. Okay, bro. What are you thinking about, fool? Concentrate on your... Fucking Sunny, dude. This fucking dude, he's a little too honest sometimes. "Keep an eye on it and tell me as soon as something moves." Well, maybe endure was not the right word. Sunny might have even enjoyed the situation in other circumstances. "What are you thinking about, fool?" Concentrate on the deadly monster, he thought, angrily berating himself. But it was so hard to concentrate with Cassie's soft body pressing against his. Deadly monster. Finally able to get his mind out of the gutter, Sunny sighed and focused on observing the centurion. The hulking creature was moving through the wasteland, slowly drawing closer. Soon he was able to see every crimson line and every spike on its weathered carapace. However, his eyes were glued to something else. Cautiously held between the centurion scythes, a beautiful crystal was gleaming with hypnotic inner lights. It was bright and strangely alluring, a transcendent soul shard. They had already seen a similar scene back with a pair of centurions when retrieving the 2 of such crystals from the remains of the giant shark-like creature. So that was their destination. Sunny glanced at the magnificent tree standing atop the Ashen Barrow with its onyx branches and its vibrant scarlet leaves. It looked striking and majestic, like something wholly hidden in the depths of the hill. He shared his findings with the group, careful to keep his whisper as quiet as possible. The centurion was about to walk past her hiding spot, despite the fact that there was some distance between its path and the knoll. Sunny was so nervous. This was the most dangerous moment. The monster came level with the knoll, then proceeded forward without blinking an eye. He exhaled. It's walking towards the barrow. Nephis did not relax, so ready for nothing to go south at any moment. Follow it. Sunny, we're gonna follow it? Sunny nodded. A moment later, his shadow slid from behind the knoll, sneakily pursuing the nightmare creature. With how much the range the shadow controlled had improved, he was pretty sure of his ability to tell to its footsteps of the Ashen Hill. The centurion crossed the wasteland with its transcendent shard clasped tightly between its eyes. Its bearing was somewhat strange, seeming almost pious. It looked like a pilgrim walking towards a mysterious sacred site. Soon it approached the Ashen Barrow and suddenly stopped, as though afraid to cross some invisible line. Then the centurion carefully placed the shards in the sand and backed away from it, its eyes turned to the ground. After distancing itself from the gleaming crystal, the massive creature kneeled. It's kneeling? Sunny had to rub his eyes to make sure that he wasn't seeing things. He wasn't sure. The carapace centurion bent its 8 legs and lowered itself to the ground, submissively placing its terrifying scythes in front of its bowing torso. Noticing Sunny's strange behavior, Nephis raised an eyebrow. What is it? He hesitated. Wait. At that moment, his shadow, which was safely hidden some distance away from the kneeling monster, noticed a slight change on the surface of the Ashen Barrow. The bright glimmer they had seen from atop the Leviathan's spine was back, only this time it was even more blinding. The glimmer rose into the air from the shadows cast by branches of the towering tree and moved slowly, approaching the footsteps of the hill. When Sunny was finally able to discern the source of the shining, his eyes widened. Feeling a cold shivering run down his spine, he forgot to breathe. Dude, these fucking cliffhangers. I'm starting to catch these cliffhangers you guys were talking about. Good thing we can keep reading, right? Oh man, good thing we can fucking keep reading. I am noticing these cliffhangers. Like, yo, what was that cliffhanger? Like, why was he kneeling? What did he see? I see what you guys meant by all the cliffhangers. 19 minutes, 1 second. Update this. Update this. Drink some G Fuel. I get it. I'm seeing the cliffhangers you guys were talking about. I'd be mad reading this shit daily or weekly. Cliffhanger Slave. I know. I'm seeing it. I'm seeing the common occurrence. We're doing all 2,700 chapters today, right? You fucking know it, man. Realistically, how many chapters would it take to read all that? Shit. Okay, G full is done. All right, next chapter. Ignore my spilled G fuel. Chapter 63 is called Lord of Ashes. Oh, all right. I am seeing what they are kneeling to. Let's change the song. We'll change the song. I think this song can work. I think this song works. Moving through the ashen sand and piles of the fallen leaves, a giant monster was coming down the hill. Sorry, stream might lag it a bit, but it should get back together. It took me months to read it all. Suddenly gulped his expression, turning dark. The creature was as large as a house, with its 8 segmented legs resembling tall pillars. Its form was similar to that of scavengers and sentients. Its form was similar to that of scavengers and sentients, comprised of a crab-like carapace and a protruding, somewhat humanoid torso. However, this was where the similarities between them ended. Instead of chitin, the behemoth shell was seemingly made out of a polished, lustrous metal. It was as though its whole body had been once submerged into a crucible of molten steel. Emerged from its encased in an impenetrable suit of shining armor. Beaming of sunlight were reflecting from the chrome surface of the carapace, creating the bright glimmer. Sunny had noticed massive but strangely elegant the steel monster, resembling a giant knight. Sunny was so it's a giant knight? Resembling a giant knight. Sunny was ready to swear that he had noticed the shapes of 7 stars carved into its chest. However, that knight was corrupted and evil. It radiated sinister aura like a demon summoned from hell to sow death and slaughter. The polished armor of the creature was covered with long, jagged spikes. Its humanoid torso had 4 mighty arms, 2 ending with powerful pincers. So its humanoid torso had 4 mighty arms, 2 ending with powerful pincers, the other 2 with razor-sharp, terrifying scythes. Oh, what the fuck? It's like mixed. The demon's head was more pronounced than that of a scavenger and crowded with several tall, sharp horns. Its middle face was almost human-like, but simultaneously repulsive, monstrous, and bestial. This is some fucking nightmare fuel, bro. Nightmare fuel. Just looking at it made Sunny's skin crawl. That thing is scary. Whatever the creature was, its ranks within the Carapace Legion was clearly higher than that of a Centurion. Not to mention of a lowly scavenger. It was the next step in their evolution. A general or a commander, perhaps. What were they called? Legates? Praetorians? A Praetorian. Did I scroll down too much? No, we're good. Holding his breath, Sunny watched as the Carapace demon descended from the ashen burrow. Stopping in front of the transcendent soul shard, it looked briefly at the kneeling Centurion. The deadly, awakened monster shrank under its gaze as if terrifying of a larger nightmare creature. Sunny knew how it felt, since he did the same when the behemoth's eyes had briefly glided past the shadow's hiding place. Not paying the Centurion any attention, the Carapace demon picked up the gleaming crystal and turned around, then hurriedly returned to the shade of the giant tree's branches. Sunny slowly exhaled. Sunny, what is happening? He looked at Cassie, whose face was full of worrying curiosity. After hesitating for a little, there's a new threat. Stay quite a bit longer. I'll explain later. He's like, ah, shit, what is it now? Back in the footsteps of the tall hill, the Carapace Centurion was finally ready to stand up again. Sunny was in a dilemma. He had to follow the monsters to make sure that it doesn't stumble on their hiding place on its way back to the labyrinth. However, he was also extremely curious to see what the Carapace demon was up to in its lair. And on top of the ashen barrow, there was no time to think through properly. Making a hasty decision, Sunny sent his shadow sliding over the gray sand. It masterfully avoided the Carapace Centurion's eyes and was already climbing to the tall hill a few seconds later. One look. I'll just take one look. Hiding in the deep shade cast by the majestic tree's scarlet crown, the shadow glided up the slope and approached the place where the Carapace demon had disappeared from its sight. On top of the hill, the ground was covered with fallen leaves. The ashen burrow was indeed larger than any high natural feature they had encountered before, vast and spacious as an actual island. However, the traces left behind by the massive creature of pillar-like legs could be easily seen. They led the shadow to the center of the island, where the obsidian tree's enormous trunk was rising from the ground. With its broad roots stretching in all directions, the carapace demon was standing beneath the tree. Looking up at its lower branches, the transcendent shard was still clenched in its pincers. What is it looking at? Sunny made the shadow trace the creature's gaze and noticed several round, appetizing fruits hanging between the scarlet leaves. One of them looked especially ripe. Suddenly, the demon dropped the soul shard into the sand and completely forgot about it, raised its body, it stretched the pincer up and gently grasped the fruit, then pulled on it. Without any resistance, the fruit tore off the branch, holding in something fragile and extremely precious. The massive creature slowly lowered itself to the ground, then it carefully brought the fruit to its mouth and took a small bite. It's eating fruits. This abomination... the fuck? This abomination is vegetarian. Bewildered and not quite sure about what he had just seen, Sunny had no choice but to command his shadow to leave and hurry to the base of the hill. The time was up. As if he had wanted to catch up with the carapace entrant, he had to act with haste. Gliding over the fallen leaves, the shadow descended from the ashen barrel and flew back in the direction of the labyrinth, soon catching up with the retreating monster few. Feeling a lot of relief, Sunny made sure that the sentry's route would not put him on the collision course with the knoll they had been hiding behind, and finally allowed himself to relax slightly. He waited until the scythe-wielding monster was completely gone before slowly rising back to his feet. It's safe to come out now. I was about to say Nephi. Nephis and Cassie stood up, stretched and massaging their limbs, suddenly remembering how tightly they were pressed against each other. While hiding behind the knoll, Sunny just barely avoided turning red with embarrassment. That was a necessary measure. He was almost glad the carapace demon had appeared at the perfect moment to take his thoughts away from the situation. What happened? Nephis looked at him and raised an eyebrow. For once, his expression of indifference did not look very convincing. Sunny glanced at the not-so-distant ashen barrow and shivered. There's danger ahead. We need to return to the Bone Ridge. I'll explain everything once we're safe and sound back at the camp. She opened her mouth to say something, but then thought better of it and remained silent, simply giving him a nod. The trust that they had built was enough for that much at least. Sunny summoned the echo, tied the golden rope around its torso, placed Cassie's makeshift saddle back on its carapace, and helped the blind girl climb to her seat. Oh man, stream is crashing. Are we good? Are we good, right? Are we good? I think it's stabilizing. Give it a sec. I think we should be good right now. Picking up the saddlebags. Oh, almost didn't record. Oh, snap. Almost didn't record again. Oh, I see what I did there. I swiped away. We're good? Yeah, we're good. Before that, however, Sunny had one more thing to do. Coming close to the knoll, he used his hands to brush the sand off its surface. Soon the onyx black surface was revealed beneath. It was the same exact color as the bark of the colossal tree growing from the center of the ashen barrow. The knoll was, in fact, just a small portion of one of the tree giant's roots, raised slightly above the ground in part of the wasteland. Okay, it's like the roots. Sunny looked around, trying to calculate the size of this sea of ash. Finally, he was starting to understand what had drained all the life from the giant patch of the Crimson Labyrinth. Back inside the Bone Ridge, there were sitting around the fire. The delicious smell of roasted meat filled the air, making Sunny's stomach produce embarrassing sounds. However, it wasn't time to eat yet. He was in the middle of telling the girls about what he had seen. After the sentry kneeled, another carapace creature came from the top of the ashen barrel. Only this one was not one of those they had seen before. It was easily twice the size of a sentry and 6 or 7 meters. Wait, 7 meters? It's about 21 feet tall. Sorry, I'm trying to use freedom units. So, in feet, 21 feet. 6 feet? So, 18 to 21 feet tall. I can't even imagine how much it weighs. It looks like a moving house. Nephis frowned, clearly not happy to know that there was such a behemoth bearing it this way. What's more, its carapace is not made of chitin. Instead, it looks like some strange metal alloy. I don't think we'll be able to cut through it. I also didn't notice any gaps in the monstrosity armor, not even around the joints. Cassie gulped, turning her head to her friend. Changing Star, however, remained silent. Sunny sighed. In addition, the thing has 4 arms instead of the usual 2, a pair with pincers and a pair with scythes. They're even bigger than the sentry's. Its carapace is littered with spikes, and it has long horns on its head. It also looks more human-like. It almost got a face, albeit an extremely ugly one. And its eyes, well, I think that is more sentient than anything we had faced before. Nephis was thoughtful. After a while, she said, "It is probably an awakened demon. Nightmare creatures with 1 soul core were called beasts. The ones with 2 cores were called monsters. 3 cores, I haven't seen one with 3 cores. 3 cores belonging to a class of creature known as demons, with devils right above them with 4 cores. Sunny gave a nod, indicating that he was in agreement with her conclusion, or maybe a devil in any case. I think we should avoid that scary bastard at all costs. We're definitely fighting that at some crazy point before the Volume 1 finale. I already know it. Dude. Changi Star stared at him, tilting her head a little. For a minute or so, there was only silence. Sunny gritted his teeth, then sighed, then blinked a couple of times. Finally, he gave her a doomed, crooked smile. Let me guess. Let me guess. You want to fucking kill it, huh? Yep. Yep, we gotta kill it. You think of the cores, bro. Think of the battle experience. Oh, man, think of the potential echo. He's like, come on, man, we gotta get in there. Like, literally, we got to get in there. Oh, is stream lagging for me? Yeah, stream is a little laggy, so I do apologize for that. Well, I feel like the title gave it away. It's called Pursued by Demons. That is not good. That is definitely not good. Let's update this. Fuck, ever since I cleaned my keyboard, I feel like it's not that responsive. I feel like I need to fix it. Yeah, speaking of first demon time, I feel like the chapter of this title kind of gave it away. The chapter of this title is called Pursued by Demons. What demon? What demon are we talking about here? Let me guess, she wanted to kill it. Nephis continued to stare at him with her unusual, unreadable expression. After a while, Sunny chuckled and shook his head in disbelief. You really are crazy. That's an awakened demon we're talking about, remember? Have you forgotten that we're just sleepers? Then he frowned and scattered his head. Wait a sec. I feel like we already had this conversation before. Doesn't it feel familiar? Cassie glanced at the two of them and politely cleared her throat. Actually, you had said pretty much the exact same thing right before we decided to attack the first Carpacentron. Sunny beamed. Yes, exactly. And how did that end up? I almost got killed. Nephis shrugged indifferently. You survived. Fucking Nephis, dude. You survived, right? I mean, I guess. You survived, didn't you? He froze with his mouth open, too flabbergasted by the sheer audacity of her remark, and answered immediately. A few seconds later, Sunny was finally able to speak again. That's not the point. Cassie gently touched her friend on the shoulder and whispered, Neff, that's not a very nice thing to say. Shang Star's face flushed a little. Glancing aside, she hesitated and said, what I meant to say is, we've won in the end, didn't we? It was a risk we had to take, and it paid off. We've grown stronger since then. Sunny had a feeling that the fight against the Carapace demon was already inevitable, but couldn't bring himself to stop protecting solely out of principle. But that thing is huge. It's so tall you won't be able to poke it with your sword. What are we going to do? Asked the bastard politely to lower itself to our level. Nephis frowned and looked at him with displeasure. It's just an awakened demon. I know. Only an awakened demon. We can take that out. Sunny sighed and shook his head again, feeling like he was talking to a stone wall. Did he just call Nephis a stone wall? She just wants to kill things. And you know what? I respect that, bro. I respect that she just wants to kill things. Sunny sighed and shook his head again, feeling like he was talking to a stone wall. Changing Star's mind was still a mystery to him. He had realized a long time ago that there was a deep, dark, well hidden behind her seemingly radiant exterior. No one pushed themselves that hard, endured that much, went that far unless they were being pursued by demons of their own. He knew that from experience, and judging by how far ahead of everyone he had even known, Nephis was, her personal demons were especially dreadful, much more dreadful than that terrifying Carapace demon, at least. But although Sunny understood that she was running from something, he had no idea what destination she was so desperate to reach. Just why was she so hell-bent on finding that damned human castle, even more so than Sunny himself? His burning desire to come back to reality and rip all the rewards that the world owed him was so intense that it would frighten most people to death. There were very few things that he wasn't willing to do to achieve his dream. However, it's only had meaning for as long as he stayed alive. Nephis, on the other hand, seemed to pursue a goal that held more meaning than herself. Than her life. Why else would she be so willing to risk it? Sunny just couldn't understand that logic. Was so irrational and paradoxical. What could be more important than your life? If you die, you won't be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor anyways. He looked at Nephis in the eyes and said, back when we agreed to fight the Carpacentron, we did so because there was no other choice. We were literally stuck on a rock with it. What about now? Don't we have a choice to avoid the Ashen Burrow? She stared at him for a while and then simply said, bro, that is not the only way west. You go east a little bit, you go around it, and then you keep going west. That's the only way west. I call BS. She's just crazy, dude. And I fucking love that. Sunny laughed. That is the truth. I'll give you that. When his laughter died down, he wiped the corner of his eyes and said, all right, that makes sense, but believe me when I say it. As the only one who actually saw the Carapace demon, we won't be able to defeat it in a fight. Nephis scrawled, your point, we will die. What do you mean? That's the main point. Sunny spread his hands, those men understand, yes, we can defeat it, but a dark smile appeared on his face. That doesn't mean that we can't defeat it, but that doesn't mean that we can't kill it. What? Changestar thought about it, then he raised an eyebrow and asked, you have a plan? Sunny shook his head. Not yet, not entirely. Let me sleep on it. However, there's one thing I know for sure. He looked west, remembered the Carapace demon's disturbing bestial face. In the ensuing silence, Cassie turned her head to face him and asked with curiosity, what is it? Sunny blinked. Oh yes, it's pretty simple really. Unlike the scavenger sentients, that thing appears to be rather intelligent, which means that it can be deceived. But if it's intelligent, wouldn't it be undeceivable? They spent another uneventful night inside the dead Leviathan spine. As far as their camps went, this one was probably the safest. There was a certain comfort in being surrounded by walls from all insides, even if they were made out of bone. Sleeping on top of the cliff with the coral mounds just meters away from the surface of the dark sea, exposed to elements, was not very restful. Sunny even entered the thought of suggesting to Nephis that they should stay here for a while, a few weeks, or even months if needed. They could slowly explore the surroundings areas to hunt the monsters and grow stronger. Then, after absorbing hundreds of soul shards and shadow fragments, armed with dozens of memories, and even a few more echoes, perhaps they could attack the Carapace demon and be more sure of success. I'd be down for that. However, he quickly realized that it was a bad idea. The Forgotten Shore was perilous and unpredictable. They were rather successful in conquering its danger so far, but it's too easy for the situation to change. One moment of bad luck was enough to doom them. One wrong turn, one unfortunate encounter, one more enemy than they were able to handle, and their lives would be over. And that was only in regard to the usual mean angers? How do you... Meanang? I cannot pronounce that word. Of abominable horrors they had to fight on a daily basis. The labyrinth hid much more terrifying secrets and existences, not to mention the unimaginable terrors of the deep dark sea. Every additional day they spent here gave a chance for something fatal and unavoidable to happen. Their best hope of survival was to face the Carapace demon as soon as possible. No shot, bro. Maybe after defeating it, they would finally be able to see the tall walls of the promised castle. Sunny tossed and turned the whole night thinking about the giant creature and trying to give a shape to the nascent seed of the idea of how to kill it. Close to the morning, he was finally able to fall asleep, only to be awakened by Cassie, carefully shaking his shoulders for half an hour later. Sunny blinked, looking at the blind girl in confusion. What is it? She gestured to Nephis, asking her to come closer. Then, a little pale, she gathered her courage and said, I have another vision, a vision about the Carapace demon. Another vision about the demon? The one we just saw. Huh, okay, I wonder what it is. What was that? Remember that the spell itself called Sunny treacherous. It was just saying a lot of mean things about Sunny, right? Treacherous, what was it like? Not that it wasn't useful, but like other stuff along that line, right? Copy and paste. I'll be right back. Let me just go moisturize my face, man. My face feels so dry and ashy. Give me 1 sec. I'll be right back. Literally 2 minutes. And during his treachery truly knows no bounds. All right, and while that's happening, let me test this song on YouTube. We'll see. This might be potential battle music for not this fight, but next fight. You guys let me know if you like the song while I go moisturize my face. I'll be right back. And if it's good, we might be able to play it. Oh, my back. Alright, back. So, do you guys think this song can work for a like a boss fight? It's like a 16-bit battle track. Do you think this song can work for like a fight? If not, I mean, I have Elden Ring music. Yep, it's good. Okay, it might work. If not, I mean, I have the Apostle song. It's a little premature. Like this. We have the Scar Scourge, Radon. Probably like literally one of the best fucking tracks in the game, period. Yeah, I know, I just need a lower. I just have the volume a little bit, just battle tracks are usually just louder. But Elden Ring just has some of the best battle music in any game, period, bro. So I'll just play this song for now. We'll play the Gravesite song. We'll have this as our background music now. This one's also good ambience. Yeah, we'll need to lower it. I did text my girlfriend for a little bit later. I'm gonna ask her if she's down to play Paper Mario later, like in an hour or so. If she's down, we'll probably play. So we should have time for like 2 more chapters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We should be able to knock out potentially. If 65 is the last, this may or may not be our last one, depending if she texts me back in 15 minutes. Well, 12 minutes. So we might be able to squeeze 2 more chapters. Let's do this. Update this part. My favorite battle music playlist is the Terraria Calamity OST. I'll have that saved on a different tab then. I can look at it. Does that fit, Shadow Slave? Wow, my internet is slow right now. Dude, also Arc Raiders, man, that's some Yarnum OST during the boss fights. Yaron? Oh. Full Calamity mod soundtrack. That's good. Okay. I'll keep that in mind. I don't think it fits Shadow Slave that much though. Okay. Alright, good to know though. Good to know. We have it though. We have it up here just in case we need it. Alright. Back to reading. I don't have dual stream on. Fuck, I forgot to turn on dual stream. I'll have dual stream on for next time. Chapter 65 is called Lights. Oh, you saw the light right there? It's called Light. Oh, a little bit more light from our background. Our little picture, our little white picture. It's called Light in the Darkness. You listen to King Von while reading? I'm not sure what's King Von, but I'll look that up. Sonny was instantly wide awake. Sitting up, he hurriedly rushed his eyes and then glanced at the blind girl, ready to listen. Nephis approached them and sat down, her face barely visible in the dim light of the early dawn. Past or future? Sonny blinked. Right, I should have asked myself. Cassie thought for a bit and then hesitantly answered, past. So her visions also show her past, not always future? Past, I think. After a short pause, her expression changed to that of certainty. No, I'm sure of it. Changes are slightly tilted her head. That's good. So what did you see? Cassie deeply inhaled and fell silent for several seconds, remembering her face paled a little, but this time she was ready to face her fear. I saw the Ashen Burrow deep at night, enveloped in a raging storm. The winds were bending the branches of the great tree, as if desperate to break them. The island was illuminated by the constant barrages of thundering lightning bolts, with rain falling from the skies like a flood. So just like in the Labyrinth. She paused, catching her breath, and continued. The Carapace demon was there, standing in the middle of the storm like an unshakable fortress made of polished steel. Arcs of electricity were dancing between the spikes of his armor, and it does no fucking damage. Is it not doing any damage? But the demon did not pay it any attention. He was just as Sonny described, prideful, sinister, and terrifying. Cassie closed her eyes. When I looked into his eyes, I felt a sense of emptiness and corruption. He observed the storm until it began to dissipate. The winds weakened, the rain stopped. The great tree stood unbroken, just as magnificent as it was before, but then the last bolt of lightning fell from the sky and struck the ground beside it. Sunny was listening to her tale with great attention, hoping to hear a piece of useful information. So that monstrosity is not afraid of lightning. Shame with a metal carapace. I almost tempted to try to lure it from under the tree during a storm. Apparently that wouldn't work. Meanwhile, Cassie was ready to carry on. That bolt of lightning could never hurt the carapace demon, let alone the miraculous tree. However, when it hit the ground, it ignited the fallen leaves that covered the ashen burrow surface. Soon a large part of the island was engulfed in fire. In the absolute darkness of the night, it shone like a beacon. Sunny perked up, remembering something back when the three of them first met at the beginning of their deadly adventure through the dream realm. The girls mentioned that the light had seen from the giant knight statue a few nights prior was indeed made by them. However, making that fire had turned out to be a big mistake. At night, any source of light was like a lure for the monsters of the Forgotten Shore, including that terrifying creature that lurks in the depths of the dark sea. That's why ever since they were careful to never light a fire after sunset, preferring to endure the darkness instead of attracting unknown horrors from beneath the waves. Having a guess of what had happened next in Cassie's vision, he waited for the blind girl to continue. Her voice trembled a little. Before the flames died down, the dark sea surged and a thick thing crawled out of it, covering almost the entire slope of the ashen burrow with its body. All of the ashen barrel? The fuck? How big is it? It looked like a mass of bones and rotten flesh connected by black seaweed, with thousands of horrible eyes staring at me hungrily from beneath. Coiling tentacles seemed seething as it pushed itself towards the great tree. Her face turned slightly green, just remembering the abomination made from Cassie feel nauseated, but she gritted her teeth and did not stop speaking. That was the most repulsive creature I've ever seen. However, it seemed slow and clumsy, as though being ashore outside of the black water was weakening it. The carapace demon did not hesitate to lunge at the creature. Oh, it's fighting it! To lunge at the creature, completely ignoring the fact that it was at least 10 times its size. 10 times? Wait, I can't do math. 20 feet, so it's 200 feet? What the fuck? It was like he completely lost his mind, enraged by the intrusion of the island. Nephis suddenly spoke. How did the demon survive? The blind girl hesitated. I don't know. I don't see the battle itself, only its beginning and its end. And the break dawn, the carapace demon crawled back to its shape of the great tree. He was severely wounded, with several of his legs missing and his scythe covered by spiderweb of cracks. The fire was gone, and there was no sign of the sea creature anywhere in sight. She paused for a moment and then said in a quiet voice, the most terrible wound was on its chest. The steel armor of the demon was fractured and split apart, revealing that the beat hard inside. Rivers of the azure blood were flowing from the wound, mixing with the ash and sand. The demon crawled to the base of the tree and laid broken body between its roots. Cassie sighed. The last thing I saw was the passage of time. I don't know how long it took, but eventually the carapace demon was able to recover from his wounds. His scythes restored themselves, his legs grew back. The fracture on his chest was the last to heal. However, it wasn't healed completely. We attacked the chest. Hidden from sight, there was still a weakness in his armor. Both Sunny and Nephis were silent for a long time, thinking. Changing Star was the first to break the silence, so it's not impenetrable after all. Fuck, man. Both Sunny and Nephis. Fucking Nephis. She's the first. I guess we just aim for the chest. So it's not impenetrable after all. Then she looked at Sunny and asked, how's your plan coming along? He blinked, extracting himself from the swarm of thoughts. Glancing at his companion, Sunny smiled. Pretty well. I already had an inkling of how we should proceed, but Cassie's vision gave me additional inspiration. Nephis raised an eyebrow. Is that so? He gave her a confident nod. Yes, it's a wild idea, but it might just work. Well, maybe in any case, it's going to be risky. We'll have to make some preparations. Both Cassie and Nephis looked at him expectantly. The blind girl cautiously asked, so what's your plan? How are we going to deceive the demon? Sunny crossed his arms. It's not very complicated, actually. I got the idea from the ancient fellow Neph likes to talk about. We're going to build what? He took a dramatic pause and then said a mysterious smile. We're gonna build a Trojan horse. I'm sorry, what are we reading here? However, their reaction is like, are we reading the Odyssey? We have the Trojan horse in here now on the shore, right? However, their reaction was not what he had expected. Both girls blinked, then stared at him with a complicated expression. Well, Cassie did not stare since she was Cassie did not stare because she was blind, but her face was exactly the same as Changing Stars. Strange. A what now? Sidney scratched the back of his head, somewhat embarrassed, and cleared his throat. Did I use the wrong words? I thought that Odysseus guy built a wooden atom. A donkey? Odysseus did not build a fucking donkey. Nephis raised his hand and put it in his forehead, closed her eyes. Weird. Does she have a headache? Are you alright? She sighed deeply, then said in a flat tone, a horse. It was a horse. That's fucking funny. The next day, they returned to the place of the battlefield between the Carapace Legion and the Centipede monsters. A few days earlier, they had alerted the Carapace Sentry here to ambush it, but ended up causing a massive confrontation between the two tribes of nightmare creatures. The carcasses of some of the monsters were still there, buried slightly in the mud. Of course, there was no meat left in the skeletons. The inhabitants of the labyrinth were, for the most part, carrion eaters. After all, however, the three sleepers were not interested in meat. They came for something else. Stopping in front of the sentry's empty shell, cleaned of any flesh by unknown beasts, he looked at the back of the Crimson Carapace in satisfaction. Nephis walked over and stood by his side, an unreadable expression on her face. Is this what you wanted? Sunny smiled. Yes. Exactly. I knew that nothing would be insane enough to chew on the chitin, but in this place, you never know. I wasn't sure about its condition, but the condition was good. In fact, it was perfect. All right. I think we got time for one more. We got time for one more. All right. Let's do this. Part of the plan. 66. Check my phone. Check my messages. Nothing yet. Okay. Stream died for me? Yeah, no, it was laggy. It's... I don't know why it's lagging, man. Stream died. It should be back. Are we back? I have to lower stream later. I think I put my... Any on the forbidden chapter? Is a forbidden chapter? I think it's my bit rate. Since I'm not dual streaming... It's back? Okay. Since I'm not dual streaming anymore, it's weird, man. So I originally had my bit rate setting to like 13,500 kbps or whatever. And that was the Twitch bitrate. But on YouTube bitrate, you can only have it set to 6,800. Yo, what's up, man? So I think what I am going to do is I'm going to lower it back to 6,800. And I think that's why it's so buffery. I'll go in OBS. I'm going to switch it. Hey, what you reading next? And how much money can I pay you to get to read Kill the Sun instead? Let me... Hold up. I got you. Hold up. I will just copy and paste that. One sec, brother. Kill the Sun. Kill the Sun for people who keep up with it. Images. The cover looks good. The cover looks good. I'll tell you that much. All right. I'll see how long it is. Last chapter of the last chapter of the day, as Unhinged mentions Kill the Sun. I will keep that in mind. It's called First Part of the Plan. Well, we're going to get a cliffhanger, huh? Close to the evening, with the sun tiredly descending towards the horizon, a strange creature walked out of the colorless remains of the labyrinth, if walking was even the right word. Dragging its legs in the sand, the creature somewhat floated forward without moving them. It looked like a Carapace Sentry, or at least a close approximation of one. All the necessary parts were in place. The creature had a black carapace with a menacing crimson pattern on it, a humanoid torso, 8 segmented legs, and 2 arms ending with formidable bone scythes. However, all these parts looked mismatched and strange and as though put together by some clumsy sculptor. Additionally, the Sentry moved as if it was seriously drunk. The carapace was careening to one side, sometimes scraped against the sand. The torso was swinging back to forth for no apparent reason. The sides were awkwardly lodged behind the creature's back, crossed against each other as a strange angle. At some point, one of them simply dropped to the ground. The Sentry stopped and hesitated for a few seconds, as though unsure what to do. Then it left its scythe armed behind and continued on its own way as if nothing had happened. A perceptive observer would not have noticed that the creature seemed to possess 2 shadows. The first shadow was of one that would expect shadow identical to the creature itself. The second one was resembling a human. It briefly showed itself from beneath the larger shadow when the Sentry abandoned the runaway limb. The human shadow then proceeded to face palm and shake its head in utter contempt. The whole situation was nothing short of being completely bizarre, but for some, better or worse, there was nobody around to notice the weird creature. Okay, stream isn't lagging anymore. Unobstructed, it traversed the wasteland, moving in the direction of the Ashen Barrow. Soon it was almost at the footsteps of the tall hill. The sunset was approaching. The strange Sentron plopped on the ground at the base of the Ashen Barrow and stopped moving completely, awkward and lopsided. It looked like a parody. I'm sorry, so this is their Trojan horse, correct? It looked like a parody of the other monster of the kind who had kneeled gracefully at some point a few days prior. Additionally, it arrived without a tribute. There was no transcendent soul shards inside. Added to the disrespectful pose, this transgression was more than enough to get the Sentron killed. Perhaps it was suicidal. On top of the barrel, the Carapace demon moved and rose from the ashen sand. His shining armor glistered, reflecting the light of the setting sun. Encased in bright metal, with a crown of horns adorning its head, the demon shook fearsome and sinister. Gazing down to lingering for a few moments, two dark scarlet embers ignited the depths of the demon's eyes. Shifting his terrifying sights, the giant monster walked forward, slowly descending from the hill to face the strange visitor. The group shook as he approached, however the bizarre Sentron did not even flinch. In fact, it remained completely motionless. The Carapace demon is like, what the fuck is this? The Carapace demon stopped some distance away from the suspicious creature. He observed it, clearly understanding that its pathetic appearance might be a trap. The labyrinth was full of unimaginable dangers. Rashly approaching an unknown foe was not something an awakened demon who possessed his own form of intelligence would do. At least that was what the three sleepers had assumed. However, they were just wrong. Fucking wrong. Just a second later, the Carapace demon lunged forward. Its scythe flashed through the air, severing the Sentron's torso in half. The adamantine chitin was cut apart as though it was made of butter. The upper half of the monster's torso flew off, revealing only emptiness inside, an empty Trojan horse. On the other side of the Ashen Barrow, Sunny, who was running up the slope with all his might, cursed under his breath. That was too soon. He thought that they would have more time. Who knew the Carapace demon would turn out to be such a daredevil? He didn't even hesitate before going all out. With Cassie riding the piggyback on his back, Sunny gritted his teeth and tried to run even faster. It was time to switch to plan B. A moment later, this weird Sentron Carapace came apart, setting the echo that had been hiding underneath its free, pushing the pieces of chitin away with its powerful pincers. The scavenger rushed forward the towering demon. It was amidst the duck underneath it and hopefully messes up the giant's legs. The first part of Sunny's plan was rather simple. They were going to use the remains of the dead Carapace Sentron to disguise the echo. Hold up. This sounds like a battle. Let's end on battle music. Hold up. Let's end off on battle music. I mean, might as well, right? Can play battle music for like 2 seconds. We'll play battle music for like 2 seconds. We'll play battle music for like 2 seconds, but I think that's all we got because the chapter's like halfway through. The first part of Sunny's plan was rather simple. They were going to use the remains of a dead Carapace Sentron to disguise way too loud. The first part of Sunny's plan was rather simple. They were going to use the remains of the dead Carapace Sentron to disguise the Echo, which was much smarter in compassion, as one of the officers of the Carapace Legion. The music is too much already. Alma just... too much. Already too much. I feel like there's also too hype. Then they would send it to the base of the Ashen Barrow to lure the demon away. The three of them were going in full circles. 3,000, bro. Yeah, the music was a little too strong. We went a little too strong right away. We'll tone it down. Then they would send it to the base of the Ashen Barrows to lure the demon away. The three of them were going circle of the hill and hide themselves under the gray sand in advance, then run up to the slope and into the center of the island as soon as the demon had left. The Echo was supposed to buy them enough time to climb the great tree and conceal themselves in its branches. Then Sunny would dismiss the Echo, thus finishing the first stage of the plan. He never intended for the scavenger to actually fight the fearsome demon. However, the Carapace demon, an unusually swift act of aggression, had to mess up the timing of the whole thing. The decoy was already destroyed, yet they weren't even halfway to the tree. In this situation, there was no choice but to order the Echo to attack, hoping that it could stall the giant monster. That way, of course, Sunny was putting his scavenger at risk, but there was no other choice. Just as he was about to reach the crest of the hill, the Echo tried to hide itself beneath the Carapace demon's massive body. It was doing the same thing that Nephis had done when fighting the first Carapace Sentron, intending to use the size of the enemy against it. The difference was that this time the smaller participant of the fight was clad in sturdy carapace as opposed to the squishy human girl who had no protection. Even if the demon tried to crush... who summoned me? Even if the demon tried to crush the scavenger with its weight, it wouldn't be able to kill it. Yo, what's up, dude? However, I was having some music difficulties. I was struggling with the music for a sec. However, the demon understood it too. Moving with the incredible speed, he shifted his torso and stuck out one of the pincers. The scavenger was swatted away like an irritating insect, flying through the air and heavily crashing onto the ground. Its carapace had almost cracked. Running towards a great tree, Sunny grimaced. He wanted to dismiss the echo, but knew that it was too soon. They needed more time. They needed more time. You know what? I feel like this is the best way for me to check if this is a claimable song or not. I got him. Let me know if this... We'll find out. So, we're going to do a sudden other music change. If this music doesn't work, let me know in the comments. They needed more time. Ahead of him, Nephis was already approaching the enormous black trunk. Not wasting any time, she removed the seaweed rucksack from her body, gently laid it on the ground, and began climbing and grabbing onto the cracks of the onyx bark. Meanwhile, the echo was shakingly rising to its legs. A stubborn light was burning in its eyes. Proceeding in a loud screech, it clanked its pincers in the air and once again rushed towards the demon. Go get him, buddy, Sunny screamed inwardly, wishing his scavenger luck with all his heart. The smaller creature bravely ran towards the steel behemoth, raising its pincers to attack. It was followed by two shadows, one bestial and the other one human. Sunny was quickly shortening the distance between the great tree. Below the hill, the carapace demon calmly stepped towards the rushing enemy. Its four arms moved in unison. Suddenly, the scavenger arms were sliced off. Its body was gripped in two giant pincers and raised itself in terror. It's so fucking dead. Its echo is so fucking dead, dude. Sunny didn't even have time to react. A fraction of a second later, the demon slightly stained its arms and tore the echo into two. Fuck, it's dead. And we can't bring it back from what people kind of mentioned. And tore the echo in two, separating its torsos from the carapace and crushing both halves into a bloody pulp. On top of the hill, Sunny stumbled. The familiar voice resounded like a tolling bell in his ears. Your echo has been destroyed. Fucking GG. I kind of missed it, man. I thought the echo was going to be with us a lot longer. Damn. Censor a word? What happened? 50. Alright. It's GG. Fucking GG. I guess it's fucking GG, man. The fucking echo. I thought the echo was going to be around a lot longer. We only read with the echo in his possession for like, what, 3 read-throughs? And that was it. Well, yeah, we will never forget our first echo. Oh, man. He gave what, Cassie rides on his back. He fought one of the Centurions in the dark, which was fucking badass. Fucking is like, it's like half its size. It's like fighting, cutting him off. I was in shock. All right, man. Well, you know what? I'm calling it. If he's lucky enough, well, wasn't he also called unlucky? Wasn't that part of this aspect of like the unlucky, treacherous soul or shadow, or the treacherous, unlucky shadow slave? I'm on 75 right now. It's really good. I'm glad to hear that, man. It's fated. Well, look, if his ordeal is fated, he is going to have this as an echo. I'm going to call it. Once we kill it, we strike in his chest where that wound is still there. That flesh wound, right? Its weak spot. Once we find its weak spot, blah, we're going to have it as an echo. I think it's going to work. Not good or bad, just makes him be in the center of everything. Which I think it's pretty cool. Especially for being, I guess, like the MC of the arc. I don't know, man. I'm excited. But unusually ends up bad. Yeah, that's the one thing that's the one thing I've noticed. It's probably going to be bad. All right, guys. I'm going to let you guys go there. If you guys like what you want to see more, make sure you like, comment, sub. Let me know if this song works. Good and bad, actually. Let me know if this song works as fight music. Chat recap. Nephis was soft and squishy. Sunny used Plan B and let Cass. You know what, man? That is really out of context, but that's exactly what happened. Yeah, Sunny switched to Plan B. Nephis was being crazy. And yeah, wow, that's a bad way to end the read-through. That did not happen on Hinge. God damn it, dude. All right, later, guys. We'll see you potentially tomorrow for more Shadow Slave. Peace, and have an amazing day. You just got on? Don't worry. I'll have the video up right away. I got you, bro. I got you. I got you, bro. I got you. Later, guys. The next stream going to be huge. Look, I do want to at least hold up before I end stream. We ended the recording. I do want to at least read the final volume in one stream. So I know it ends at 90. But from what point to what point should I from what point to what point is fuck, I'm lost for words. From what point? Oh wait, you know what? Unhinged, I will make that a clip. Sunny uses plan B. Let me do this so I know. When I switch to this scene, I know. 95 is the end of volume 1. Okay, so I feel like I need to read 85 or like 90 to 95 altogether. I feel like I need to read from 85 to 95 or like 90 to 95. I'm doing that so I know when to go back and stream and clip it. I got you, Unhinged. I'll make that a clip for you. I got you, bro. Because if you don't make that a clip, we'll title it Sunny uses plan B ... on who? With who? Son of a bitch, dude. Why are you making me just clickbait fucking clips, man? That's fucking funny. Alright, I'm gonna let you guys go though. Have an amazing day. Peace. Big ending coming for volume 1, sure? Okay, we'll see. I guess you guys just let me know, like, where I guess, like, the main part of the volume 1 finale starts. Where I guess, like, the main culmination. Like, does it start at 85, 90-ish? Just let me know by next time. That way we know, like, what to read to what point. Alright, later, guys.